Oh yeah, and Tim Walz was always writing shit down. And every time you turn around, oh my God. You know, J.D. Vance would be like, well, it's a very interesting question, Margaret. So when it comes to taxes, if you'll notice, during the Biden regime, he'd be going at it, right? And all of a sudden Tim Walz would be like, grab a pen and he's like writing shit down. I'm like, why don't you knock it off already with all the fucking note taking? Who do you think you're kidding, buddy? You had 3.5 fucking years to take notes. Kamala Harris and her fucking regime, they had 3.5 years to be taking notes. Now all of a sudden they want to cram for the final exam. Presidential debate. He's up there with the fucking pen taking notes. What the fuck do you think? You don't got a chance in hell, buddy. Give it a break with the notes, all right? You had 3.5 years to take notes, dummy. Well, granted, I guess he was governor, not vice president, but your whole outfit, your whole Democratic outfit had 3.5 years to be taking notes, buddy. Obviously, he wasn't taking notes in biology class, tampon Tim. Putting tampons in the men's boys' room. What the hell are you thinking? That was one of the stories around Tim Walz. He signed into law some kind of bill or legislature. He gave the approval on tampons being put in the boys' bathrooms in certain schools, public schools or whatever. Real sick stuff. Makes you sick to your stomach. Also, this fucking Tim Walz, does he or does he not look like a mixture between Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone? Tim Walz looks like Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone. With that fucking Fred Flintstone jawline, that fucking triangular Fred Flintstone jawline. Real thick fucking floundery fucking jowl, them fucking jowls, you know? You got that Fred Flintstone jawline and with them beady little fucking bug-eyed Barney Rubble eyes. He looked like fucking Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble had a baby. Called it Wham Bam. Or Pwebbles or something, you know? Wham Bam, yeah. Waltz Bam or something, I don't know. He looks like a mixture between Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, that Tim Walz, with them fucking jowls, them fucking triangular with them fucking Fred Flintstone jowls and them beady fucking Barney Rubble eyes and little beady fucking eyes darting around. Them servile, beady, darting Barney Rubble eyes and them fucking Fred Flintstone jowl. Tell me he don't look like a mixture between fucking Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble. You just tell me. Take a look. Take a good look. All right? That's what that motherfucker looks like, all right? He looks like a mixture between Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, yet he has the personality of Betty Rubble and Wilma Flintstone. Riddle me that. He looks like a caveman, but acts like a cave woman, is what I'm trying to say. Tampon Tim. How do you like them apples? And again, he's a very, he's kind of a bit of a, he's a nice enough guy, well-meaning, I'm sure, but, you know, make you sick to your stomach. Can't be having these fucking wet blanket types running amok, fucking up government and stuff with their pussified fucking wet blanket ideas and impositions and fumbles, fraud. He said a couple dumb things too, that Tim Walz. At one point he was like talking about how he's a champion of like American energy, or he's pro-American working on clean, health-conscious, environmental energy. And he at one point he said something like,
look, I harvest corn, I harvest soybean, and I harvest wind.
I harvest the wind. I harvest wind. And then you see J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance kind of looks up at the screen, right? He's like, J.D. Vance looking at the camera. It's like, yo, did that guy just say that? I harvest wind.
And I harvest wind.
Yeah, you harvest a lot of hot wind, all right, buddy. I harvest wind. That was one debacle that he said. It's like, yo, man, are you even listening to the things you say? Well, I'm fucking as a Dem, as a lifelong Dem, I guess he obviously doesn't listen to too much of what he actually says. Another fumble was he was talking about like safety in schools and how, you know, what are they going to do to combat the safety crisis in America with kids and school shooters and stuff. And Tim Walz said something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, I understand what's going on. I've sat with families who've been afflicted by gun violence. I've become friends with school shooters."
I've become friends with school shooters.
He said he was friends with school shooters. He was quoted as saying, "I became friends with school shooters." Of course, I'm ragging on the guy. I guess it was just a mental flub during the debate, but come on. I mean, obviously, I doubt he actually meant that. Probably just a flub, but I mean, come on, bro. How do you say them words and then not even hear yourself?
I've become friends with school shooters.
I became friends with school shooters. They're my buddies. We shop for tampons together. We insert them together. They're my tampon buddies. Active school shooters. Yeah. He also quoted the book of Matthew in the New Testament. It's like, how the hell's a guy who's into tampons? How the hell's a guy who approved tampons in boys' bathrooms set himself up to be quoting Matthew of the New Testament? He quoted Jesus or somebody in the New Testament in the book of Matthew. He made a quote.
I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about, "To the least amongst us you do unto me."
It's like, yo, bro, just take... It's like, does he use a fucking tampon to hold his place when he's reading the Bible? You know, he's like, better stop for a fucking pronoun meditation. He's reading the Bible. Oh, better stop now for a pronoun meditation. Take a quick little break. Puts a tampon in there as a placeholder, you know, as a bookmark. He uses a tampon for a bookmark when he's reading the Bible. I bet you 10-1. I'll bet you dollars to donuts if you go look at a fucking Tim Walz Bible. Instead of a bookmark, you're going to find a tampon. Dollars to donuts, I bet you. That asshole uses fucking tampons for bookmarks. Especially when he's reading the Bible. The Bible. Tim? I'll bet you dollars to donuts. You know? And here's another thing, too. This is like one where like he definitely got shellacked. The moderators are like, yeah, so Tim, during the student uprisals and marches or rallies or whatever in Tiananmen Square, China, 1989, you claim that you were there, front row and center, when apparently, after some research, you obviously were not. What do you have to say to that?
But right now, I want to talk about personal qualifications. The vice president is often the last voice the president hears before making consequential decisions. We want to ask you about your leadership qualities. Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. They look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot, I will get caught up in the rhetoric, but being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID, and I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community, and then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
And he's just like, to anybody who's been watching from the beginning, I grew up in a middle-class family. I grew up in a middle-class family, meaning I had middle-class family values. We rode bikes. We mowed our lawn. We had tampons in the boys' change room. We played hopscotch and marbles and tiddlywinks. And in the summer of 1989, I went to China with a dance troupe, and was out there in China with some dancers, and I've from day one, I've always been about the community, and skibbity skibbity. Then the moderators are like, yes, Tim, but to the question, we answer yes or no. Were you or were you not in Tiananmen Square in 1989, as you had claimed? Well, I wasn't literally there. I mean, sometimes things happen and people say things, and that fucking, like I said, that Fred Flintstone jowl was just a flapping, and the beady fucking Barney Rubble eyes were just a blinking, and he's, well, as I said. He had more of a soft-spoken voice, more so like, well, as I said, as I said, things, sometimes people say things in the heat of the moment, but I have always, from day one, been about the middle class, because I come from a middle-class family. Make you sick to your stomach, the lies these fucking fake news phonies espouse. Make you sick to your stomach. Put a tampon in it, buddy. Put a tampon in it, Tim. Liar. Make you sick to your stomach.